Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing with your today is going to be a great day. So today I'm going to go over a couple things that happened on Friday. We did have a longer weekend, so I was anticipating a big influx of price action in the crypto markets if we could get Bitcoin down to 105,000. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But that's okay because Bitcoin and the other alts are still falling, which means that also what happened was the stock market is starting to fall a little bit. We had a little bit of a mixed bag on Friday. We had some stocks that were heading higher, but most of them were at the lower end and chopping around the low end of the relative strength index. And that is exciting to me. CRDO, I went over with you guys yesterday and told you, or on Friday, and said, all right, so if CRDO gets up high enough and the relative strength index gets up into some resistance, price action gets up into resistance, as well as the relative strength index heading higher, great entry point for a potential short. And then I don't know if you guys saw CRDO, but it had a pretty nice fall that happened on Friday as well. So let's actually just go ahead and get into the trade of the day from Friday. So RSI recap. All right, so here's what happened on TCOM. TCOM on Thursday had this really nice float higher on the price action. Relative strength index stayed above the 30 all day until the very end of the day. So I anticipated a move to the upside in TCOM, so trip.com. However, it didn't get up to our entry level. If you switch out to the daily time frame, I was looking for this double top area right here at $77.18. This was just going to be another level of resistance. And then I had additional resistance levels based on the fact that you had this previous high right here from 2015, previous high from 2017, and then it pierced, the price action pierced here. So I expected it to get up into this region based on the relative strength index. Unfortunately, it did fall off a cliff a little bit and then continued further downside, now trading in the pre-markets at $73 on trip.com. So unfortunately, that trigger, or that trade didn't trigger, but that's okay. CLS, we're going to go into another chart. So CLS on Friday had a good pop, and then, on Thursday had a nice pop on the price action, and then look at what the relative strength index did, fell off the cliff, and now all of a sudden CLS, so Celestia's, is trading lower all day on Friday. It stayed underneath the 30 and underneath the 70. So this tells me that price action in CLS is a little bit weaker. So let's go ahead and zoom out to the daily time frame to see where some support is going to be on CLS. So I would say that if CLS gets back down, this was a previous gap fill that, as you can see, it was already a lot of support. But then you had a big pop on CLS. It went up 23%. So when price action gets back down to this double bottom area and this pivot top, or this previous gap fill, 173.37 would be a great opportunity for a potential trade. Duolingo has been crazy. Look at this chart on Duolingo. Had a huge pop on the back of earnings. So I was anticipating price action, or at least a relative strength index, to get up above the 70. But look at what happened. It got up to the 57. So on the downside, if it gets above 50, relative strength index should push it back down. And that's what happened. Now it's even trading at $291 from $468. But look at the daily, the intraday time, or the intraday price action, as well as the relative strength index. It looked weak throughout the whole day. Let's go ahead and take off the VWAP. Price action stayed basically muted towards the lower end. Relative strength index stayed really below the 70. And so you can anticipate a move to the downside on Duolingo. So now that you've gotten back down below this low pivot, your next level of support on Duolingo is likely to be right here at this minor gap fill. I say minor because it kissed this level a couple times. So $272.49 is still going to be where your support level is on Duolingo. Okay, so Ulta Beauty, look at the relative strength index. This is the type of stuff that I like to see. You have this beautiful price action staying above the 70 on the relative strength index, or above the 50. Good price action, and then creates this negative RSI divergence. You got this peak high right here. So that's this candle. And then you got a higher high on the price action, but a lower high on the relative strength index. So this could have been a great starting opportunity for you on Ulta as far as a short goes. And then this gives you just a little bit more confirmation that price action and relative strength index are going opposite of each other. And so this indicates that there's a lot of sellers that are stepping up and driving the price down. All right. Plus the fact that it failed to stay above this upsloping trend line. But if you look at the intraday, the 1 minute on the relative strength index, look at how price action got down. The relative strength index got below the 30 and stayed below the 30. And so I anticipate a further move to the downside. Now you're going to get some support on Ulta Beauty, probably down here at $476. And then you've got this even number 475. That's the quarter round number that we'd be looking for a bounce. If it drops below here, then you're likely to go back down to this double bottom area at $452. All right. So Alibaba, this one was really strong on the day on Friday. Look at the price action, big pop. And then the price action just continued to stay elevated. And then the relative strength index stayed above the 30 on BABA as well. So look at what happened here. Price action, again, price action stayed up, relative strength index stayed up. Now what we're looking for is going to the intraday chart, or the daily chart, to see where price action could go. So right now in the pre-market, Alibaba is trading at $135.65. So if Alibaba gets up to $143.20, this would be a great opportunity to scoop this thing up for a short. Look at the relative strength index on the daily. This would likely put it above the 70. And based on the fact that the relative strength index is extremely volatile, as well as the price action, this is what I love to see. 30% moves on the upside, downside, a couple different times. So that means that if this gets up 40% or 37% when it gets up into this gap fill at $143.20, relative strength index gets above 70, you're likely to get a pretty substantial pullback. If you're going to get into this for a swing trade, I would put a stop out at a close on a daily time frame right above this double top area, $148.43. So it could pierce this gap fill, head up to double top. If it closes above there, though, that would be my stop out level, and then I would reevaluate and see what happened. But on a daily closing basis, that's where I would stop out. CRDO, I was mentioning, you've got this beautiful upsloping parallel channel right here. You got rejected at this upper end one time already. It did look like it was going to break down, then headed back higher. And so I was saying $137 to $140 would be a great opportunity for a short. And then all of a sudden, CRDO just ended up plummeting. Now it's down to $118.50. But look at the relative strength index, right? So you've got this beautiful relative strength, negative RSI divergence. Price action continues higher, higher, higher. And then all of a sudden, you get this breakdown with the price or the relative strength index heading lower. All right, so the next one on my list. Okay, so where I anticipate CRDO going, because look at the relative strength index on the daily time frame. It did stay below. So this to me signals now that more sellers are involved in CRDO. So it could likely go even lower. You've got this the lower end of this upsloping parallel channel. This is going to be support. So basically right here, if you start breaking down here, this will be the 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be about the 5th time this thing tries to break down and get below. So now it favors a move to the downside. I would say a pierce of $100 would be a great opportunity to get in for a long trade, at least a short term. You know, you can get 5 to 10% bounce. Starts breaking down here, then you're going lower, probably hitting this $88 level on CRDO. Eventually, it could even come back down to $62, although that might take a little bit longer to break down to get down to that level. GDX, gold has been ripping, you guys, but look at this relative strength index. You've got this beautiful price action. It's going up, 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 consolidated sideways, put in this beautiful bull flag, bounced higher, bull flag. Now it's up a little bit more. Relative strength index is heading up into the 75 level. So this is telling me that it's eventually going to pull back. So it's getting to an overbought condition. So you got to do is go to the weekly time frame and look at this. $66.90 is a pivot top right here. And this is on the weekly time frame. So for me, this is telling me that GDX is good to push a little bit higher. However, that $66.90 level is going to be met with resistance. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the trade of the day. All right, actually, GDX is my trade of the day. So today, if GDX can get up to $66.90, that is going to be where I enter a short position. GDX isn't a huge mover, so you can expect a 2 to 3% pullback on this. So basically getting back to where it's at currently in the pre-market, but GDX short at $66.90. What's likely to happen is it's probably going to pierce this level, probably get all the way up to piercing $67. But if it starts closing on a 15-minute closing basis outside or above this double top area at our entry price, then I would stop out on GDX. And the reason I would stop out is because if gold wants to continue higher, it's going to push a lot of these miners up even higher. And so we could wait for additional consolidation or price action or additional divergences, relative strength index, negative RSI divergence before we enter the trade again. But overall, GDX is overbought. Gold, I think, is overbought. So $66.90 is my trade of the day. So that's what I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for being with me at 8:45 every morning. The market is open. Hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. Gareth Soloway is going to be with you in less than 4 minutes. If you guys like what you guys are seeing, please like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified every morning. And we'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great day and take care.